You were abandoned in your darkest hour, and it nearly shattered you from within. This wasn't a normal parting. It wasn't a gentle farewell where people simply grow apart. It was a severing. It was the person who should have stayed, who promised to stay, turning away precisely when you needed someone beside you most. And the worst part wasn't their absence. The worst part was what you started to believe about yourself after they left. You were left with this question lodged in your heart. What is wrong with me? If you are listening to this now, it is because that pain is still alive somewhere within you. It might be a fresh wound, still bleeding. It might be an old scar that aches when the weather changes. It doesn't matter. What matters is what you will discover in the coming minutes. Because there is a truth about what happened to you that will completely change how you see this situation. And this truth isn't about that person. It is about who you are. But before we arrive there, you need to understand something no one has had the courage to tell you yet. When someone you loved and trusted left during your darkest time, you built a narrative. Every human being does this. It is a survival mechanism. The mind needs to make sense of chaos, needs to find an explanation for pain that is tolerable to carry. And the narrative most people construct is this: I wasn't enough. You replayed every conversation. You reread every message. You analyzed every smile, every embrace, every promise made in moments of intimacy. And you began searching for the exact moment you failed, the moment you were too much or too little, too intense or too distant, too needy or too closed off. You became a detective of your own insufficiency, seeking evidence to confirm the verdict that their departure seemed to pronounce upon you. But what if I told you this entire investigation was based on a false premise? What if the problem was never what you did or didn't do? What if the problem was that you tried to sustain a structure that was never built to last? Think of it this way. When a building is being constructed, engineers install scaffolding around the structure. This scaffolding is ugly, rough, temporary. It exists for one single purpose. Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life. A guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you. And strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10 Zuru readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who are tired of living in the fog. Ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment. To provide support while the real construction happens inside. And when the work is complete, when the building can stand on its own, the scaffolding is removed, not because it failed, but because it fulfilled exactly the function it was placed there for. That person who left when you needed them most wasn't a pillar. They were scaffolding. You spent months, perhaps years, mourning the removal of a temporary structure without realizing that the building, you yourself, was already standing, already solid, already complete. The noise you heard when they left wasn't the sound of a collapse. It was the sound of the scaffolding being taken away to reveal what you yourself had built. But there is a layer to this pain that goes far beyond the scaffolding metaphor, a layer that relates to how you learned, from a very young age, to measure your worth through the permanence of people around you. Think with me. Did you grow up in an environment where love was conditional, where affection came with implicit demands, where you needed to perform in some way to ensure people stayed? If the answer is yes, and for a great many people over 35 who grew up in families where emotion was a forbidden topic, where men don't cry and strong women don't complain, that answer is often yes, then the abandonment you experienced wasn't just an isolated event. It was the confirmation of a belief already installed within you long ago. And that is where the real work begins, not in analyzing the other person, inside you. But wait, before you breathe a sigh of relief, thinking it's just that, I need to tell you something important, because there is a layer of this pain that goes far beyond the loss itself. A layer most people never want to look at directly. There exists a type of grief unlike any other you have felt. It is the mourning for something that never truly existed. When someone dies, you grieve for a reality that existed and was lost. There is a solidity to that grief, a legitimacy. The world recognizes this mourning, has rituals for it, has words to comfort those left behind. But when you discover that the person you loved wasn't who you thought they were, when you realize the connection you believed you had was, in large part, a projection of yours onto someone who never matched that depth, you face a grief the world doesn't know how to name. You don't grieve for the person, you grieve for the illusion. And this is devastating in a specific way, because memories stop being a comfort and become an accusation. That special dinner you held in your heart as a sacred moment, was it real? That moment of vulnerability when you opened yourself completely and believed you were being seen. Was the other person truly present? Those words of love spoken softly, how much truth was in them? Every memory becomes suspect. Every gesture of affection needs to be reevaluated under the harsh light of disappointment. You find yourself forced to rewrite your own story, erasing chapters that once brought warmth and now only reveal how much you participated, unknowingly, in a charade. This is not weakness. This is the most brutal and most necessary process of discernment a soul can undergo. And there is something no one tells you about this process. It will reveal things about you you would never have known without going through it. There is a fact few know, but that science has documented clearly. The pain of social rejection activates the same brain regions as physical pain. It is not a metaphor, it is neuroscience. When you say that departure hurt like a stab wound, you are describing accurately what happened inside your brain. Researchers at the University of Michigan published studies showing that the area of the somatosensory cortex, responsible for processing physical pain, activates in a measurable way when a person relives an intense experience of rejection. This means what you felt was real, biologically real, and it required real care to be processed, not forced positivity, not motivational phrases, a genuine process of moving through it. There is an ancient concept, present in various spiritual traditions around the world, that describes a process of purification by fire. Medieval alchemists called it the crucible, a vessel where raw metal was subjected to extreme heat, so impurities would rise to the surface and be removed, leaving only pure gold. The pain of abandonment is that fire. I'm not saying this romantically or to minimize what you went through. I'm saying it as a functional reality. When you're forced to rebuild yourself without the presence of someone you considered essential, you discover internal resources you would never have accessed otherwise. Think of someone you admire for the strength they carry, someone who went through difficult things and emerged with a clarity in their eyes and a firmness in their character that people perceive when they enter the same space as them. That strength wasn't bought. It wasn't inherited. It was forged, exactly in the type of pain you are moving through now. When you lose someone you considered a pillar and discover you were standing all along, you learn the difference between support and dependency. When you process the betrayal of an illusion and decide to continue anyway, you develop a type of courage that isn't bravado. It is rootedness. It is knowing you have already touched the bottom and survived. And here is where spirituality meets modern psychology in a way the data confirms. Researchers at the University of North Carolina found that between 50% and 70% of people who go through traumatic experiences report some form of post-traumatic growth, genuine positive changes in how they see themselves, in the relationships they cultivate, and in the sense of possibility they carry. It isn't that the pain was good. It is that within the pain existed raw material for something extraordinary. And you, contrary to what that departure tried to make you believe, knew how to use that raw material. There is an example I like to bring because it is very close to the reality of many. Think of a single mother in rural Appalachia who raised 3 children after her husband left. She didn't have a robust support network. She didn't have therapy. She didn't have self-help books. She had her work, her faith, and the stubbornness not to collapse in front of her children. 20 years later, those children described their mother with a word that always appears: strength. And when you ask where that strength comes from, she points invariably to the moment she was left alone. This does not romanticize abandonment. This recognizes that the human being has a capacity for reframing that is literally supernatural. But now we arrive at the most important part of this, and I need you to pay very careful attention to what follows, because what you are about to hear goes against everything you have probably been taught about healing and spirituality. Now we arrive at the most important part, and I need your full attention, because what you're about to hear goes against almost everything you've likely been taught about healing and spirituality. The devastating danger of premature forgiveness. Everyone has told you to forgive. Your family, your friends, perhaps a pastor, a therapist, a self-help book. And the message always comes wrapped in something that sounds beautiful. Forgiveness is for you, not for them. To forgive is to set yourself free. Carry love in your heart, not bitterness. There is truth in those words, but there is also a massive trap that no one has the courage to name. The rushed forgiveness without structure, without boundaries, before the wound has even begun to heal. That forgiveness is not liberation. It is self-betrayal. Imagine you suffered a deep physical wound, a serious infection, and someone comes and says, "You need peace. Stop dressing the wound. Stop taking antibiotics. Stop going to the doctor. Just think positive thoughts and love will heal it." Anyone with common sense would recognize that advice, however well-intentioned, as dangerous. The wound needs active care before it can be covered. The emotional wound works the same way. When you rush to forgive before fully processing what happened, before accurately naming the pain, before understanding the pattern that allowed that situation, before establishing clear boundaries so it doesn't repeat, you are trying to cover an infected wound. The infection doesn't go away, it goes deeper, and when it surfaces again, and it will be even harder to treat. But there's something even more serious in this equation. When you hastily forgive someone who has not genuinely acknowledged what they did, you are sending a message to your own soul. A silent, devastating message that says, "My pain is not important enough to demand recognition." You are teaching your nervous system, your intuition, your discernment, that divine compass God placed within you for your protection, that the warning signals it sent do not need to be taken seriously. And you know what happens to a compass you repeatedly ignore. It stops working accurately. You begin to doubt your own reading of situations. You start questioning whether that gut feeling is intuition or insecurity. You wonder if you're being wise or simply afraid. And this internal confusion leaves you vulnerable to repeating the exact same pattern with different people. It's no coincidence that so many people go through the same experience of abandonment or betrayal multiple times. It's not bad luck. It's a pattern that continues because forgiveness came before understanding. There's a phrase I often hear in conversations about relationships, especially among women over 40. I forgave, but I haven't forgotten. And people say this as if it's a contradiction, as if true forgiveness required emotional amnesia. But it doesn't. The memory of the pain is not an absence of forgiveness. It is accumulated wisdom. It is your internal system recording information to protect you in the future. Honoring that memory is not bitterness. It is emotional intelligence. The difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. Here is a distinction that can change everything for you, and one that most superficial spiritual teachings do not make. Forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing. Forgiveness is an internal process. It is you over time, releasing the poison of resentment from your own body and your own mind. Not because the other person deserves to be absolved, but because you deserve not to carry that weight forever. This process is yours. It happens in your own time. It is not announced to anyone. It does not require the other person to do anything. Reconciliation is different. Reconciliation is the restoration of a relationship. And for that to happen in a healthy way, in a way that does not put you at risk again, there are non-negotiable prerequisites. The other person needs to genuinely acknowledge what they did, not a superficial apology to placate the situation, not an "I'm sorry if you were upset" that places the emotional responsibility on you. A real, specific acknowledgement that demonstrates they understand the weight of what they caused. There needs to be a demonstrated change in behavior, not just a promise made with words. Words are cheap. Consistent patterns of behavior over time cost everything. And there need to be clear boundaries that you establish and that the other person accepts and respects, not as punishment, as structure, as the new foundation upon which, and only upon which, something healthy can be built. Without this, reconciliation is not healing, it is repetition. And here is the deepest spiritual insight I want to leave with you. God is love, yes, but God is also justice. There are consequences for actions, and this process of consequences has a divine purpose. It was designed to teach, refine, and transform both you and the other person. When you interrupt this process prematurely, absorbing the impact of someone's actions before that impact reaches them, you may be, without intending to, preventing a transformation that needed to happen. This is not cruelty. It is respect for the natural order of things. And there's a practical point here that needs to be stated clearly. Setting boundaries is not closing your heart. It's the opposite. Only those who have clear boundaries can keep their heart open in a sustainable way. Because when you have no boundaries, your only defense mechanism ends up being total shutdown. You oscillate between giving everything and giving nothing, between trusting completely and trusting no one. Boundaries are what allow you to remain open without being exposed, when they finally see who you are. And now we come to the moment many of you have been waiting for since the title of this video. Because at some point on this journey, something interesting happens. Something that real life confirms with almost prophetic regularity. The person who walked away when you were on the ground, they come back. Not necessarily physically. Sometimes it's a message, a social media interaction. A mutual friend mentions they asked about you. Sometimes it's a different look in a chance encounter. Sometimes it's them approaching with the excuse that they want to talk. And what changes is not them. What changes is you. Because when you've gone through the process this video describes, when you process the pain instead of suppressing it, when you recognize the illusion without destroying yourself over it, when you rebuilt yourself without needing anyone's approval, you emerge as a version of yourself that has a different quality, a different presence, an energy that people perceive even before you speak a word. And then something happens that is both satisfying and revealing. The person who did not see your value when you were vulnerable begins to see it now that you are whole. The question you need to ask yourself in this moment is not, should I give a second chance? The question is, what does this return reveal to me about the pattern that existed before? If they can only recognize your value when you no longer need them, that is information. Important information. Because people who genuinely love you do not need you to be at your best to value you. They stay through the process. They stay through the chaos. They stay when you're still under construction and don't know if the building will stand. There is a situation that repeats so often it has become almost a recognizable pattern. The person who left during the crisis returns just when you have finally stopped needing them. When you found your own rhythm, when your life gained direction, when your energy shifted, and they come back with a story. I was going through things, I wasn't ready, I made a mistake and I know it. And part of you wants to believe, because this is the outcome you dreamed of during the difficult nights, the recognition you hoped for. But here is the question that will separate growth from repetition. Do you want that person back because you genuinely believe something new can be built on new foundations? Or do you want the recognition as validation that the pain was worth it? If it's the second option, you are in dangerous territory because the recognition you need cannot come from the outside. It must have been built within, throughout the entire process you went through. And if you still need that person to tell you that you have value in order to believe it, the work is not yet done. You owe this to no one, but especially not to someone who chose to leave when staying would have cost them something. The signs: you are ready for the next chapter. How do you know you have processed enough? How do you know you are ready to move forward, whether toward new relationships or toward a new phase of yourself, without carrying the weight of what happened like chains around your ankles? There are concrete signs that indicate you have moved through the process, not just survived it. The first sign is that you can tell what happened without your body reacting as if it were happening now. You can narrate the facts with clarity, without your voice trembling with anger or pain. This doesn't mean it didn't hurt. It means the wound has scarred over. The second sign is that you can recognize what you learned about yourself in this process. And it doesn't sound like a forced attempt to find a silver lining. It sounds like a truth you saw with your own eyes, in your own experience. The third sign is that the boundaries you establish now do not come from fear. They come from self-knowledge. You don't say, "I won't accept this," because you are angry. You say it because you know with a quiet and firm clarity what is compatible with who you have become. The fourth sign, and perhaps the most subtle, is that you stop needing that person to acknowledge what they did in order to feel at peace. Your healing process becomes independent of their stance. You stop holding forgiveness as a bargaining chip and begin to process it for yourself, in your own time, at your own pace, for your own well-being. When these four signs are present, you are no longer reacting to the old story. You are writing a new one. I want to speak directly to you now, to the one watching this and feeling that what has been said here resonates in a way that goes far beyond simple coincidence. There are people who go through experiences of abandonment and come out diminished, hardened in the wrong way, with high walls and a closed heart, distrustful of everything and everyone. And that's understandable. Intense pain, without processing, produces exactly that. But there are people who go through the same experience and emerge with something completely different, with a deeper openness, no longer naive but more real, with a capacity to see people with greater clarity, without projections or illusions, with a compassion that only exists in those who know intimately what pain is. This second category isn't luck. It isn't genetics. It's a choice made consciously, repeatedly, throughout the process of rebuilding. It's the choice to transform instead of merely surviving, to learn instead of merely resisting, to open instead of merely hardening. The spiritual traditions of various cultures, from Christian mysticism to Buddhism, from Roman Stoicism to the ancestral traditions that form part of the tapestry of our world, all converge on one point: There are souls who are designated to go through difficult experiences, not despite who they are, but because of who they are. Because what is forged in these moments isn't something small. It is something that will inevitably serve as light and guidance for others still in the middle of their process. Think about how much you would have given in the darkest moment of your process to find someone who had gone through the same and could tell you, "I know where you are, and I know there's a way out." That person would have been an invaluable gift to you then. Well, you are becoming that person for someone who hasn't yet found the exit. If you are that person, and the fact that you've come this far in this video instead of giving up in the first few minutes suggests you might be, then what you've lived through has a purpose that goes far beyond your personal story. Your pain becomes a map. Your process becomes a compass for someone still lost in the same labyrinth you've already found the exit from. I don't want to leave you with a beautiful but vague message. I want to give you something concrete to do with what you've heard today. The first thing is to stop rushing forgiveness. If you're still in the process, if the wound still hurts when you press on it, give yourself permission to be exactly where you are. Forgiveness doesn't have an external deadline. It has an internal rhythm only you know. The second thing is to write. Get a notebook, not your phone, a paper notebook, and write the story as it truly happened, not as you wish it had happened, not minimizing anything to seem more reasonable. The real story, with all the details you've avoided looking at directly. This process of narrative externalization is one of the most powerful tools modern psychology knows for processing traumatic experiences. Write until there's nothing left to write. The third thing is to identify the pattern, not the person. The point isn't to build a dossier against someone. The point is to understand which internal vulnerability within you attracted or tolerated that dynamic. Not to blame yourself, to know yourself. Because self-knowledge is the only real protection against repetition. The fourth thing is to set one limit today. One single, concrete and specific limit related to what happened. It can be with that person if they're still part of your life in some way. It can be an internal limit, a decision about what you will no longer accept. It doesn't need to be grand, it needs to be real. And the fifth thing is to recognize, aloud if possible, how much you've grown. Not in comparison to that person, in comparison to the version of you that existed before going through this. Because this version, more wise, more clear, more grounded, is the result of the process you traversed, and it deserves to be recognized. There is a sixth thing, and this is the most important of all. Connect with people who are on the same path as you. Isolation is the environment where unprocessed pain grows. Community is the environment where it transforms. It doesn't need to be a large group. It can be one honest conversation with a single friend who also recognizes themselves in this process. It can be in the comments of this video, where you'll find people who have gone through the same and have something real to share. But break the isolation. Healing rare attention. You need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life. A guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you. And strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10 Zuru readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who are tired of living in the fog. Ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.